Back to the book. After the organization of military troops, military discipline is the first matter that presents itself. It is the soul of armies. That has such a nice ring to it. It's the soul of the individual as well, but I suppose we'll talk about that later. Back to the book. If it is not established with wisdom and maintained with unshakable resolution, you will have no soldiers. Regiments and armies will be only contemptible armed mobs, more dangerous to their own country than the enemy. It is a false idea that discipline, subordination, and slavish obedience debase courage. It has always been noted that it is with those armies in which the severest discipline is enforced that the greatest deeds are performed. Many generals believe that they have done everything as soon as they have issued orders, and that they order a great deal because they find many abuses. So he's saying there, like, when a general feels like, he's talking about a bad general, when a general feels like they've done everything as soon as they've given their order, and since that's what they do, they give all kinds of orders. I'm going to order you to do this, and I'm going to order you to do that, I'm going to order you to do something else. Here's what he says. This is a false principle. Proceeding in this fashion, they will never reestablish discipline in an army in which it has been lost or weakened. Few orders are best, but they should be followed up with care. Negligence should be punished without partiality and without distinction of rank or birth. Otherwise, you will make yourself hated. One can be exact and just, and be loved at the same time as feared. Severity must be accompanied with kindness, but this should not have the appearance of pretense, but of goodness. And this is just a little note I thought everyone should know. Whippings need not be severe. The more moderate they are, the more quickly will abuses be remedied, since all the world will join in ending them. So even when you're whipping your people, be a little bit more judicious. We have this is good too. We have a pernicious custom in France of always punishing with death. A soldier caught pillaging is hung. The result, now what do you think the result of that would be that he's going to say? I'm quizzing you. What's your guess?
If you hang somebody?
If you are pillaging, caught pillaging, you're going to get hung. Okay. What do you think that happens because of that?
Happens to who?
What do you think?
Why should we not hang people for pillaging?
Do you think there's a lot of pillaging going on? If you get caught pillaging, they hang you or your fellow soldiers. Do you think they pillage?
I say no.
Okay, you're wrong. The result is that no one arrests him because they do not want to cause the death of a poor devil who is only trying to live. If instead we were only turned him over to the guard to be put in chains and condemned to bread and water for 1, 2, or 3 months, or put to work at any of the labors that always have to be done in any army, and then they were sent to his regiment before a battle or when the general wished, everyone would agree with this punishment, and the officers of the patrols would arrest them by the hundreds. Soon there would be no pillaging because everyone would join in putting it under control. So
dang, that makes sense.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The reason I asked you that, which I don't normally do, is because I thought the same thing. I was like, where's he going with this? Oh, yeah, and it's obvious once you think about it. You're not going to report one of your guys for stealing something if the punishment was death.
Brad, you know what that is? That's like small picture versus big picture. Mm-hmm. Small picture is like, because you just look at it as yourself, right? You get your bubble in your head. You're like, I wouldn't pillage if it was death. Yeah. I wouldn't pillage, and that's how you're looking at it. But no, big picture is like,
doesn't work.
Apply that to everyone. Apply it to the whole community. Exactly right. If you tell on this guy pillaging, you just sentenced him to death.
Yep.
If you tell on him, if you turn him in or whatever, that's what you did.
Good point. And I just remembered, somebody pointed out to me, you remember Rifleman Harris, and it starts off when Rifleman Harris has to execute a guy, and I said on the podcast, hey, this guy's getting executed basically for desertion and being drunk. What I didn't realize is somebody sent me an email or a social media message. They said, hey, the reason that guy was getting executed was because he had taken the money for like 16 enlistments and kept disappearing. So when you get a signing bonus, hey, here's it was probably nothing, but here's 10 quid or pound sterling or whatever. Here's 10 pounds sterling. Oh, you're joining the army? Cool, here's 10. And then you take that money, go get drunk and get crazy. And then you do it again. And then you do it again in a different area because they have no internet. They have no way of knowing that this is the guy. When they finally catch him, he's getting sentenced to death. Now, do I think he should get sentenced to death even for that? Not really. But he was doing something more severe than what I had mentioned on the podcast. So I just wanted to, while I'm thinking about that, set the record straight. But the main point here for me is the secondary effects, right? You think you're going to have, the primary effect is, oh, if we do this, if we're going to kill you, if you get caught pillaging, no one's going to pillage anymore. Yeah. No, actually, no one's going to report it anymore because your punishment is too strong. Damn, this is also how and why when people think that, oh, if someone's in the military, the soldiers just do what they're told. Wrong. Yeah. The soldiers actually, there's secondary effects. Oh, you're going to kill the guys? No, we're not going to report it then. Yeah. So there's secondary effects, even though they've been ordered to do that and they're soldiers and they have discipline, they've been trained. He's bragging about discipline all the time. Guess what? They don't follow that order because the order sucks. Yeah. And that's what we got to remember, not just about the military, but about business too. You give people dumb orders or you give people things that don't make sense, they're not really going to execute it the way you'd want them to. And I'll tell you something else. You don't want them to execute that way because if they got hundreds of people pillaging and you now end up murdering hundreds of your own people, you're affecting your own army. You're going to get deserters. Yeah. I want to work in an army like that. The same thing with a business. You start laying out severe punishment that doesn't make sense, isn't reciprocal to the crime that was committed. Yeah. I mean, you pillage. Think about what pillaging is. I took some bread from the store. Mm-hmm. Cool. We're going to shoot you in the head. Dang. The punishment did not fit the crime. Yeah. In that case.